Recently, we had the first of the Republican primary debates that featured 8 of the candidates. This is Dr. David D. Schein. Welcome to the special edition of Saving America, where I give my response and analysis to the debate outcome. I've read the polls on who won that last night. That's not really relevant to my decision, but it's something that we might find of interest. First, let's talk about the elephant not in the room, which of course was the fact that Donald Trump did not participate. In my humble opinion, that was actually a good thing because it allowed the other candidates to move forward, which is something that we need to have happen, is to get more information on the other folks. As I've said before, I thought Trump did a pretty good job as president from 2016 to almost the end of 2020. And then things fell off the rails, and he's never really put it back together. And I don't necessarily want to incur the ire of all of the Trumpites out there, but he's got too many problems, in my opinion, and he's got too much going against him as a personality. And while he's so far ahead in the primaries right now that he appears to be a shoo-in, A, I don't bet on that, and two, I think he will still have trouble in the general election if he is ultimately the GOP candidate. So that's not good news for us or good news for the Republic. First, in terms of the candidates, I'm not going to list the candidates in order of how they finished in the poll based on the performance of the debate, but how I evaluate them. And after all, this is Saving America. First, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis came in second in the debate, but in my opinion, did a very good job, did the kind of job that presidential candidate should have done under the overall circumstances, and he is still my choice, first choice at least, for president. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley came in third in the debate and is my candidate for VP. She had two shining moments when she stuffed, and I mean stuffed, Vivek Ramaswamy on national defense, and two, her reasonable statement on abortion. I'm opposed to it as a routine form of birth control, but we must have reasonable rules that all Americans must live with. And as some of my regular listeners know, I do favor a congressional law that spells out across the country some rules that we can live with for abortion across the country. And here's what she said. Here's a direct quote from her. Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that we should encourage adoptions? Can't we all agree that doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them? Can't we all agree that conception should be widely available? And can't we all agree that we're not going to put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty if she gets an abortion? Folks, I believe this represents the mainstream American opinion on abortion. And I think we have to move to a consensus. Frankly, I think the Democrats understand this, are not willing to do it because they think it's a campaign issue. And I'm sorry, folks, the lives of women in some of the states are at jeopardy because of overly restrictive state laws. And in other states, the lives of perfectly survivable babies are at odds. And I think we, as a civilized society, at least hopefully civilized society, need to reach an agreement. Medical entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy came in first in the debate. Very entertaining statements across the board. I thought it was interesting when he said, compared himself to the old Barack Obama. And unfortunately, from my perspective, I kind of agree with that. I think Vivek is the Republican answer to Barack Obama. And frankly, if he became president at this point, I think he would do just as bad a job as old Barack did. So in any event, good debater. He is my candidate for the Secretary of Commerce, should the Republicans take control. in 2024, but he doesn't know enough about national defense, came off as immature in too many issues. And then one of my favorite people, just in general, is U.S. Senator Tim Scott, Republican from South Carolina. He was pretty quiet during the debate, but seems to be a consensus choice for 5th place in the polls. I put him in 4th place, and I would nominate him for any cabinet position of his choice. He also would have been my choice for VP, but I feel that because of my personal preference to see men and women in a fully equal role, I think in future presidential top of the ticket, you're going to have a man and a woman or a woman and a man. And I think that's the way it should be from this point moving forward. And again, no negative reflection on great Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina. Mike Pence, Trump's former VP, was voted 4th, but I would have put him a low 5th place. He had no choice in the 2020 election. Many hardcore Trumpers are mad at him because he did finalize the vote of the Electoral College. In my opinion, he had no choice. I don't fault him for that at all. But basically, he's put on the ticket in 2016 because he was a hardcore Bible thumper, and people felt that somehow he would take some of the rough edges off Trump and help Trump to carry the Bible Belt. I personally don't think it made a difference. He certainly did not help the ticket in 2020. I would have, if I'd been Trump, again, one of many Trump mistakes in terms of personnel, which is hilarious because this is a man who, of course, became famous for a TV show called The Apprentice, where he picked somebody to be his apprentice. Well, I didn't have much use for him in the TV show, and I sure don't think he did a very good job selecting Pence to continue as his running mate in the 2020 election. So again, I think it's time for Pence to go away. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen because he's got just enough points to kind of stay in the race for a while, but I really don't think he's going to go anywhere, and certainly has no room in a future cabinet of the United States. Rhino, Chris Christie, of course, that's a Republican in name only, former governor of New Jersey. He came in 5th also, but I think he's done. He needs to be honest, and he needs to move over to the Democrat Party or over to the No Labels Party, which seems to be making some progress in various states. At the bottom of the polls were former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, who I like, by the way, and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, who I have really no idea who the heck he is. They need to drop out now and save some time and money. I would like to see Hutchinson, however, as the next head of Homeland Security. In fact, they could do that right now, as far as I'm concerned, and get useless Mayorkas out of there. Hopefully, he'll be impeached soon. 2 others who were declared GOP candidates did not qualify for the debate, and I think it's time for them to pack it up and go home now. Thank you for listening, and I welcome your feedback. This is Dr. David D. Schein for a special edition of Saving America. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite platform.